NBA has set up an anonymous tip line for players to report those who aren't following protocols in the Orlando bubble. That's according to reporting from The Athletic, that multiple tips have been placed there. And one comment that we got on this came from Jazz center Rudy Gobert, whose positive coronavirus test shut down the league back in March. He said, quote, "I don't know if someone's going to use it, but I think it's sort of petty. At the same time, you want to make sure that people respect the rules, but I don't think the line will really help at that point. I think it's more about respecting each other and all do it as a small community." Stephen A. Smith, meanwhile, fired up about the tip line on First Take yesterday.
You're jeopardizing the season. The season could get canceled if all of a sudden they get ravaged with a bunch of positive COVID-19 tests because you wanted to go out there and get loose, or you wanted to go out there and get a sandwich or something like that. Hell yeah, I'm telling. Absolutely. This is the one time in my life that I completely and wholeheartedly support and endorse snitching. Snitch away under no other circumstances in my estimation, but certainly in this circumstance. Hell yeah, snitch away.
So there's a lot there to react to. Let's start with Stephen A., because how do you play Stephen A. and then not react to it? Ryan Clark, what is your reaction to what Stephen A. Smith just said?
Hey, man. Hey, Stephen A. said everybody out here need to be 6'9". Let's all go get rainbow weaves, and we telling on everybody. I'm going to say this now. Rudy Gobert need to shut up. Like, there's a lot of NBA players I would have listened to if they wanted to talk about this anonymous tip line or whatever let's call it the snitch line, if we was going to talk about the snitch line. Rudy Gobert, you ain't the one, bro. I don't want to hear nothing from you about respect, about small communities, about doing this together, because he didn't respect this in the beginning. But also, too, I think you're going to have a situation where some players really take this seriously and others don't. And those that take it seriously want a season. But more than they want a season, they want to be healthy. They want their families to be healthy when they get out of this bubble. And so, to me, I think the line works. The only thing that I would like to happen is don't make it anonymous, because if I was in the bubble, if I was the type of guy that had an opportunity to be taller than 5'11", and I had great finishing moves at the rim, I wouldn't call the snitch line and not tell you. I would be like, "Hey, Austin Rivers, I saw you order Postmates and walk downstairs to get it. I'm finna tell these people on you." But we could go tell them together. I don't need to call because I want to be healthy and I want to have a season. So you dang right. If you do something that's going to jeopardize my health, not my money, but my health, I'm letting you know first. And then I'm going to tell them people on you, and I hope they get you up out the bubble, because we don't need you. We can grab players from anywhere. I'll go get somebody that's playing in Indiana. You know they hoop there, so I ain't worried. Rudy Gobert, one, shut up. If somebody ain't doing the right thing, snitch and tell them.
Very quickly, that is what I meant when I said the least self-aware athlete in the world was Rudy Gobert. Of all people to be calling this petty, that struck me as a very strange decision for him to make. Meanwhile, Neek, your reaction?
Yeah, I mean, I just read an article from ESPN that he just regained his sense of smell. Like, is he not, his sense of self-awareness apparently got taken away also, because this is foolishness. I think that he's probably right that what's more important is that guys have respect for each other. But I do agree with Stephen A. and what RC said right there is, like, I think snitching is the nicest thing I could do. If you are doing something that jeopardizes my health and the financial well-being of me and my family, we are all risking a lot to be out here. And because, as Stephen A. put it, you want to get loose, you're going to put all that in jeopardy. The nicest thing I can do is to call and tell on you, because what will be going through my mind, things that I would want to do, might make me at higher risk, might expose me to a little more risk than I want to. So, yes, please call the snitch line, because the other alternative is physical. And don't nobody want that.
Yeah. All right, Graziano, let's take this to the National Football League, because obviously they're sitting there, they're watching how all the other leagues handle all of these kinds of issues and how it will impact them when they get their season started. What are they learning from this?
Well, they're still ironing out, obviously, the protocols, the agreement between the NFL and the NFLPA on all this, but there are provisions in the memo that went out to teams last month that talk about how the NFL and NFLPA can have unannounced inspections of team facilities where they can just show up and make sure you're following all the rules. Team employees are required to report violations. Players are required to report violations to the league and to the NFLPA. And in a player's call a couple of weeks ago, they were told that they could be subject to fines, punishments, if they're found to have contracted and spread the virus as a result of, going out and eating at a restaurant and riding around in Ubers and doing things that are deemed to be kind of unsafe in terms of trying to limit the spread of this. So, we're having some fun with this. Obviously, people can talk about snitching and whatnot, but the fact of the matter is, Stephen A. Smith is right. We don't live in the same world we lived in 5 months ago. And if people aren't willing to understand that thing first before going down the road of playing a sports season, then there probably aren't going to be sports seasons, because this is more serious than I think we're inclined to believe it is. And I think that's what these leagues are trying to drill into these players. Yes, you do have to snitch on each other, because otherwise the whole thing might fall apart.
Yeah, no, I think we get that. It can be both funny and serious at the same time. And I think, RC, the difference between the NBA and the NFL, to point out the obvious, is these NBA guys are all in a bubble. The NFL guys are all going to be living their lives under otherwise normal circumstances, if you will, going home to wherever they go, eating wherever they eat. They're not living in this bubble. So how are they going to police themselves and each other?
When Rudy Gobert mentioned community and mentioned respect, that's what an NFL locker room is. It is community. And in those communities, there are certain leaders. And I think the leaders of each team are going to have to step up and have meetings, have certain rules and regulations that, for lack of a better word, are patrolled by the streets. And what I mean by that is the leaders in the locker room are going to have to tell the young guys, listen, man, right now there are certain things that we cannot do. There are certain places we cannot go. There are things we can't put ourselves at risk for. And I think that's going to be extremely important, that younger players or even older players understand that you're not only in charge of your health, but you're in charge of the health of your team and the well-being of everyone in that building.